Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 4th of April. And we've just continued to move along. Now we're getting close to that new fund money introduction, so we might see a little bit more downdrafts because they're going to want to get better price going in here. But we're getting close to that 2,900 number again. And if we get up over that 85 range, you would expect that we're going to head towards the top. We got up to 89. Filled back a little bit, but that's usually an indication that you're headed towards the even number. And we had a little bit of weakness here where the orange breaks above green, at the same time steel below cyan. Now cyan is still below red and everything, and right at the zero level, but the trajectory of the red has got to roll over. And what we're going to notice, we'll see that first take place on the 50K. We can see that the trade closed out from the 28.13, and then the final closeout was 28.76 for a modest 63 point. I don't know if that puts us at equity highs or no. Let's take a look real quick while we've got an opportunity. Shrink this just a little bit for us. And move to performance report right at it. So next trade that wins will take us up over that top. As we can see, 131. It's been a massive start to the year with a pretty decent win rate on that. So looking good. And you can see we ended up with that DOC spread on the 50K, and that resulted in just a little bit more weakness all the way down to the 76, and that's where we found a little bit of support because we had complete steel reset all the way down from below here. So not a surprise that as soon as it crossed red with the steel. Now that you're rejecting right here, we would have expected to see steel cross above. So that's what I'm saying. We may see some more back and forth, up and down action, just as we consolidate right in here before they want to like push it forward. And we can see from the NQ we've got positive extremes all the way from this mini portion of the breakout. So that's kind of a low marker to be looking for right there in the 74.28 for the NASDAQ. And of course, Brent exit is still within that crisis mode, always crisis mode. And we've already retested the lows, but we knew that given the fact that we didn't have a reset of steel from this setup before, that any little pop here would likely suffer some difficulties, and it is. Now, of course, we're getting the orange going below. If that happens, that could give it a little bit of boost. Still, we have yellow below magenta on the shakeout, so until that switches over. And on this shakeout, you see that we don't have that zero line in place or the warning lines, and that's just a matter of right-clicking and formatting when you go to the inputs, and you can adjust that by just clicking the numbers. So from here, you would just add ones, top outline, warning line, and a red, and it will reboot itself with the lines in place just like that. So just always good to point those things out every once in a while. Gold stuck in that little bottom zone again. We knew we dipped below the red line right here, popped a little bit back. Now we're back below the red line again, and still no turnaround here from the shakeout gold standpoint. So there's been nothing that indicated that was going to turn around to buy. From an intraday standpoint, we had that big pop up early, cyan move below red, and every time we caught the little pops, we got some soft signals right at the ABMs. 50% was right at the target line, and a little late for a couple of these signals. One was over the 63%. This one was pretty clean right at the ABM yellow, in between the 76 and 100%. And what was interesting about it is, I mean, it's this classic where we look for that lower shakeout reading at the peaks, and then we ended up with the full DOC spread with the short snake with the orange above steel, green below red, all of it connecting, and literally could have even gone a bar earlier, was fine as well, simply because that was the rejection of the green to cyan, and coming off of a spider move here where they kind of invert immediately, and it forms those little legs on either side Four-legged spider, I know it's not really a thing, but just gives you a visual construct to it. And that produced, well, a move all the way to the lows, and then we got down there. And this particular one is kind of interesting. Also, it's a good one to look at here. Usually I prefer to see the magenta above the red line in this kind of a dip. It's another feature I have to add to it because that would eliminate until we get to this marker right over here. Where we start to creep back above it. Ends up making a little bit low right to the algo. It was a natural attraction to it. And then from there, it just takes off and moves all the way back up to a 50% return from that 100% move. So perfectly in line with an expectation there that was fairly decent. Bunch of series of higher pivots with the improved shakeout. And literally you can go back through here and it's like, okay, it's just a matter of you look at this one, of course, at that particular point, you're too close from a spread distance between the 16 and 15 is only 1 point. So one more bar later, you ended up getting the magenta 9, which is 18, and the yellow down at 10. So that's like significant enough move that you can actually take that spread. The concern I had with that one, generally, is that when you move inside of the negative 13.5 right here, they tend not to have that long of legs. This one actually went longer, but in reality, no, because if you take a look at it, it's like, okay, fine, the signaling comes. And we moved a few bars, but then literally it came right back there, and then it still had enough legs because of the rising DOC red, and we had moved to positive shakeout along with rising gold in that. But not surprising too, and you also see this is where these azure and gold meet, and that allows for a little bit of the weakness before a new breakout of gold that took us above 50%. So always good to look at that kind of thing. It's a nice little add-in tip with that because these become very important bottoms when we see them develop with the deep red. As always, though, I will post anything that catches my attention. As always, though, trade well and keep on the lookout for some of the increased volatility that's about to happen with this the new fund money that's going to come in here.